What's good, fam? We got new smoke, and it's ugly. There's a fresh Young Thug phone call clip circulating where he allegedly calls Drake stupid over that Metro Boomin situation while Metro was grieving his moms, and it lines up with the whole trans drama from heroes and villains. On top of that, Drake almost name dropped Kendrick Lamar live during Iceman episode 3 and still couldn't make the room care. I'm not dragging old receipts. This is new oxygen on a fire that's already been burning, and by the end of this, you're gonna see why that album Rick Ross been clowning as white man looks quietly frozen. But before we get to the calendar and the sales talk, that Thug call got a line that had the timeline stuck, and once you hear it in context, the whole friend circle makes sense. Here's what the street's been saying. In that alleged call, Thug is riding for Metro heavy, and the word stupid gets thrown on Drake's name over him pressing for a beat clearance at the worst possible time. We talk about Metro's mother passing, real pain, real life change, and apparently Drake was still pushing about music like it was business as usual. Tie that back to the trance rumor where a Drake verse leaked but never made the album, and Metro later confirmed he left the Drake verse off. None of that is random. It reads like Metro made a choice, not a mistake. When the guy grieving is also the guy with the hot hand, the decision to stand with your brother over a verse looks like a W every single time. And hearing Thug sound disgusted, that's heavy, because if even Thug, who got his own fights and ain't exactly a choir boy, is the one pushing empathy that tells you all you need to know about the room Drake walked into. And that's just the start. The switch up that came after says even more. This right here is where people who don't live in studios don't get it. There's an unspoken code. Timing is everything. If your man loses his mom, you fall back. You send love, you check in, you bring food, you keep him in your prayers, and you don't ask him to sign off on no beat. That's not even industry. That's human basics. If you Drake and you know Metro gonna be Metro forever, your best play ain't to muscle the clearance while the wound's open. Your best play is to be 10 toes down for him as a friend and let him circle back when he feels ready. If anything, you pull up, no cameras, no music talk, and you talk life. Instead, the way this comes off, and I'm saying comes off because I wasn't in the room, is transactional and cold. That I need this for my rollout mindset is how you burn bridges that look permanent. And once you send that signal to Metro, you ain't just talking to Metro, you talking to Future, you talking to Travis Scott, you talking to every producer orbiting that camp. You telling everybody, I care about my moment more than your pain. That's how the hallway gets quiet when you walk in, and that's when the dominoes start falling. But it didn't stop at the phone call. The next few moves made it worse. Look at what happened next in the music. We Don't Trust You hits. Metro and Future lock in and eat the year. Travis stays in that gravity, and suddenly all the energy's over there while Drake is on stream trying to manufacture a moment. Nobody had to post a graphic saying, we ain't rocking with him. The pattern said it louder. They stacking W's in their own world, and Drake looks like the guy chasing virality instead of greatness. Again, I'm not saying anybody blacklisted him. Don't twist me. I'm saying when you lose the room, your calls go to voicemail, and the calendar gets real awkward, real fast. And Drake had plays to fix it. He could have publicly sent love to Metro's family, donated to a cause in his mom's name, done a quiet apology link up, or at least played the background and let time pass. Instead, he doubled down on content like he's a streamer first and a rapper second, and that's where being outside becomes a liability. That brings us right to Iceman episode 3, because that was supposed to be his big counter, and it did the exact opposite. Let's keep it 100. Iceman episode 3 was mid at best and a nap at worst. Dude stretched it, teased it, and ended up previewing a part 2 to an old song like it was supposed to shake the earth. This was the moment to drop a nuke, and he tossed a water balloon, and yeah, he almost name-dropped Kendrick Lamar on the stream, trying to poke the bear just enough to trend, but not enough to really move anything. That right there is the problem. If you're gonna throw shots, say it with your chest. You don't get points for almost. Audience not dumb. They clock the hesitancy, they clock the thirst, and once it feels like content over craft, it's raps. Attention is a muscle. You fatigue it, it tears. Drake been squeezing that attention muscle non-stop for like 500 days, and now it's shaking. People didn't rage quit the stream, they just stopped caring mid-watch. That's the worst L you can take. Not hate, indifference. And guess what's waiting outside that stream? A calendar that's built to humble anybody, especially a rapper trying to kickstart momentum with a lukewarm tease. But before we get to the release chokehold he's facing, let's talk what he could have done that stream and why the miss was so loud. He needed one undeniable record, just one. Not a sequel, not a tweak, a brand new monster hook with a raw verse, preferably over a Metro or Jason type of soul chop that nods to the beef era while keeping it classy. He needed a line that would have Kendrick fans and Drake fans debating all week, not some vague bar that only the stand pages would dissect. He needed to show restraint, keep it at 35 minutes max, and end with a date he could deliver on. Instead, we got filler, rambling, and a tease that couldn't outrun a yawn. And the reason he didn't drop a hard date? Because he can see the storm that's about to sit right over his release window. I know the fan club gonna say he's playing chess, but chess still got rules. Look at the board. The next few weeks are built like a goalie wall, and he ain't got a free kick strong enough to bend through it. And that's exactly why the so-called White Man album, named by Rick Ross, in pure clown mode, not confirmed, got quietly iced. The momentum ain't there, the music ain't sticky, and the room ain't warm, and when those three line up against you, the label tells you to chill, or you tell yourself first. We're gonna get into the choke points on that calendar in a second, but let me tap in with y'all real quick. If you still locked in right now, you different. You a new watcher. Do me a favor real quick. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and comment whether you think Drake should delay or dare a drop date. I read everything, and the algorithm be acting stingy, so your tap makes a huge difference. All right, back to it. This next part explains why even a great song wouldn't save him if he tries to force a release right now. Here's the hard truth he can't outrun. Late September into early October is a meat grinder. The talk is Atlantic lining up a massive push for Cardi B, and when a label wants a victory parade, they buy the confetti by the truck. You might not even rock with her music. That's not the point. The point is, she gonna own the cycle with marketing, playlisting, and physicals. Then you got Doja Cat floating around that same window, and when she flips the algorithm, she eats the slots Drake used to own by default, and looming over all of it is the Taylor Swift problem. If she presses that big red button in her early October with a new drop or an expansion, that ain't just streams. That's warehouses of vinyl, that's Target displays, that's NFL tie-ins, that's the entire media landscape turning one face to the camera. Nobody wins that head-to-head. Not a vet, not a rookie. You don't want to see your first week next to those numbers, especially when your last few teasers landed soft. So yeah, calling it now, he delays, he has to. And that's why these Iceman streams read like stall tactics instead of a rollout. The music ain't moving, the room is cold, and the calendar is a concrete wall. The wild part, even all of that could be survivable if the human part wasn't broken first. And that takes us right back to the thug call and the empathy gap that started this landslide. So now we're at the fork in the road moment, and it's ugly. Drake really only got two options on the board right now, and both of them look like L's. He can drop and wear a nasty first week that the internet gon' meme into the dirt, or he can delay and pray the room warms up while the calendar cools off. The way these streams been feeling, it's clear he picked delay. That's why Iceman episode 3 felt like stalling instead of rolling out. That's why we got part 2 energy instead of brand new energy. It ain't confidence, it's a hold. And the longer you hold, when the vibe already shaky, the louder the silence gets. You can talk over hate, you can't talk over indifference. That quiet hit's different, but I'm not just here to pile on. I'm saying what the fix could have been, and low-key, what it still could be if he stopped thinking like a content guy and start thinking like a human again. If I'm Drake, I'm stepping back for at least 6 months. Not a fake I'm gone, while you go lab every other week. I'm talking off-grid, I'm talking family time, gym time, real life time, no algorithm. Then I'm touching down in rooms that ain't political. Not Metro Circle, not the usual convenience plays. Find a sound that don't need a cosign. Bring back storytelling where it ain't about charts. It's about cuts that feel like 5 a.m. life. He could have shot a sincere message to Metro's family and left it at that. No PR spin, no captions, engineered for quotes. Make it clear he understood timing even if the call rumors got it twisted. Then, if the bridge is burnt and can't be rebuilt, cool. You respect it and build a new one somewhere else. That's how you flip perception from thirsty to thoughtful. Instead, he kept chasing short-term pop. And the market said, nah. The worst part? He almost had a lane to reclaim some respect with that Kendrick almost shot on the stream. If you gonna go there, go there. Half-stepping made it look like fishing. And that's exactly why the backlash stung. It wasn't bold, it was bait. The audience could smell it. Let's keep it a buck about why the studio got quiet around him too, because that part had folks confused. I'm not saying anybody ran a blacklist. I'm saying the energy migrated. When Metro and Future locked in on We Don't Trust You, and the whole camp started racking, that became the gravity wheel. Travis Scott moving strategic in that orbit, producers catching placements in that world, and suddenly the natural pipeline of Drake felt optional. Not a big statement, a subtle shift. You can be the biggest name on the flyer and still be the last person people want to call this quarter. That's where perception outpaces PR. And yeah, he had chances to throw oops to that side without looking like he needed them. Show love, celebrate their wins, step aside when the timing wasn't right. But by pacing like an influencer, he made everything look like a play for attention. You do that too long and real ones tap out. That's why the thug call, alleged or not, hit so hard. Not cause it exposed a brand new secret, cause it said out loud what people felt in the room already. Now, about that rumored album that Ross keeps clowning as White Man, I'm not saying that's the real title, that's just a joke that's stuck online. But the point is this, the rollout already smells like it missed his window. When you don't have one undeniable song that chooses the date for you, you end up checking everyone else's calendar like a rookie. Drake never used to ask the calendar for permission, he was the calendar. Fast forward to today, and every week looks like a booby trap. He needed a thunderclap, he offered drizzle. And you could see the hesitation on stream, because he knows a forced drop right now will go wood. Triple wood, if we being playful. The label knows it too. That's why all we got was a mid preview and a vibe check instead of a date and a cover reveal. They can smell a soft landing coming. And when the ground's that soft, you either jump early and sink or circle the runway till fuel runs low. He's circling. That's not spite, that's survival. And look, I hear the stands already typing, but he always bounces back. True, he been Teflon, but momentum is a currency, and he been overspending for a minute. When your name used to guarantee splash, and now it barely makes ripples, you can't pretend your way out of that. You gotta re-earn it. That means no more wink-wink lines that only live on stand pages. No more, I'll hint at ... If you got something to say to Kendrick Lamar, say it. If you don't, say less. The half commitment is the real ill. It made the stream feel like clickbait in slow motion. And yeah, it's cool to play the villain sometimes, but villains still gotta win something. When the villain's speeches don't come with victories, folks change the channel. That's the hole he dug. He can climb out. But step one is stop digging with content. The saddest part is the human angle. And that's where this whole thing really started for a lot of people. If the alleged thug conversation reflects the real vibe, the empathy gap is what turned allies into neighbors. Not enemies, neighbors. Folks who ain't pressed to cross the street no more. You can recover from a bad single. You can recover from a flop. It's way harder to recover from a room deciding that you don't value people when life hits them. That sticks. That's why so many listeners talk about feeling the music less lately. It's not just the beats, it's the energy behind it. Music is transmission. If your signal reads selfish, the song can be perfect and still feel empty. That's the crazy truth about this era. Perception melts plaques faster than the charts can tally them. And because the internet moves wild, I'll say this again so it don't get twisted. I'm not saying Drake did or said every detail in that call. I'm saying the rumor lines up with years' attention. The transverse situation, where Metro Boomin already told the world he left that verse off, and a pattern where Drake been choosing rollout over relationships. That's what makes it believable to so many. Combine that with the influencer style, streams, the almost dissies, the tired audience, and the release calendar from HL, and you get exactly what we seen. A quiet cancel on a project that was supposed to restore the feeling. That don't mean he's done. It means the room needs proof, not promises. The next time he steps out, he gotta land something that don't feel like a plot. It gotta feel like a life update in 16S. If he can't go there, he better disappear till he can. Anything else is just more noise. If he was smart, he'd run a short 4-pack before the year flips. 2 solo joints with real pen work and grown perspective, 1 surprise collab with a neutral legend who got nothing to do with the current circles, and 1 raw record that admits without begging for applause. Keep the productions varied, but soulful. No algorithm beats. Mix warm, master lighter, drop with 0 theatrics. Let the record do the talking. If even 2 out the 4 stick, he buys oxygen. Then he can set a new date, Q1 or Q2. If he chases headlines instead and doubles down on live stream antics with more almost moments, then yeah, the narrative gonna calcify. And once that dries, even a hit can feel like a fluke. You don't want those optics, not at his level. And if he really wants to test character, there's 1 move left that would make even the loudest doubters pause. Reach out to Metro, man to man, and accept whatever response comes. No public letter, no media leak, just respect. If the answer is silence, you live with it. If the answer is, we good but not now, you honor it. If the answer is, it's up, you fall back for good. But that's the only way to clean the stain for real. You handle the human before you handle the music. Everything else is cosmetics. The audience can tell when you powder over a bruise. That's why I keep saying this ain't just an album problem. It's an empathy problem that turned into a brand problem and then a calendar problem. Dominoes, all from one moment where friend should have beat feature. So where does this leave the so-called Iceman series and the album the net been calling White Man for jokes? It leaves it where it belongs, on ice. Not in a cool way, in a we don't know what to do next way. The streets ain't clamoring, the producers with momentum ain't sprinting to the group chat, and the labels see bigger bets to prioritize this quarter. That's not me being dramatic. That's just me calling what it looks like from the outside. And the wildest part, he did this to himself, trying to be everywhere. Sometimes the real flex is saying less, moving smarter, and understanding when to choose people over plays. That's the lesson here. If he learns it, cool. The rebound could be cinematic. If he don't, then this might be the first time in his career where the numbers and the culture both say nah at the same time. That's the kind of air you feel for years. I'ma end it like this. You can forgive bad music. You can forgive corny jokes. You can forgive a bad string. What fans don't forgive is the feeling that you see them or your peers as props. If Young Thug really said what he said on that call, and if that's the sentiment already floating in those rooms, then the fix ain't clapbacks. It's character. The only way out is through. Until then, expect more delays, more hedging, and more almost moments that don't hit. And if you thought episode 3 was the bottom, wait till you see how his own fan base been talking the last few days. The patience is gone. The timeline roasted, yawned, and moved on. That's not hate. That's worse. That's empty seats. If you rock with the breakdown and you still here, you a real one. Big do energy. Drop a like so this gets pushed to folks who need that reality check. Hit subscribe if you want to follow up where we dive into how his own fan base reacted after episode 3 and why that might be the final straw for this rollout. Comment right now, should he drop a 4-pack and sit down, or do you think he can still force a date this year and survive the calendar? I read everything, I respond heavy, and y'all feedback shapes the next vid. Turn them notice on so you don't miss the next chapter. I'm out.